Welcome to Elliott's PT podcast. I'm here to help you find your balance and live your best life guilt-free. I don't believe there is a one-size-fits-all approach for health and fitness. We're all different and we need to find out what works for us. I'm passionate about helping people make realistic, long-term lifestyle changes that they will stick to and they will take with them forever. I don't believe in crazy diets or short-term fixes. We all need to live and find a perfect balance in diet and exercise that suits our individual needs. I want to help you find your exercise mojo, feel great and achieve wonderful things. Here is Elliott's PT podcast by Renee Elliott. Hello, and welcome back to Elliott's PT podcast. So today I want to talk about balance and having a balance in your life and possibly getting rid of that all or nothing thinking. And I really feel that if everybody looked to create a balance with everything, their food, their exercise, that sort of thing, that they're going to live a more happier life, because sometimes people are doing things because they feel that they have to. They're doing things because they feel they have to, or they think that doing this is the only way to get results, or any of those things. And sometimes it's that all or nothing way of thinking that is a thing that actually is holding it's really actually the thing that's holding you back from from getting the results that you want. So if you are somebody, and if we kind of look at this all or nothing thinking, we can then look at how, by working on it, if you are someone that is that way inclined, and you can kind of get rid of it, and you really can have that balance, which when you have the balance, there's no guilt. We don't feel guilty. We don't, beat ourselves up for doing anything. And, you just feel happier. Now, all or nothing thinking is a negative kind of thinking pattern, and it polarizes situations, experiences, choices, and people. It can also be known as black and white thinking. And it kind of leads people to it's a process that kind of leads people to putting everything in kind of boxes of, say, good or bad. And it really leaves no room for a balanced perspective. And it discounts, it often really does discount any type of conflicting information. And it is really common in people that are a perfectionist, and it's linked a lot to anxiety and depression as well. And when you kind of give in to this type of thinking, you're essentially saying that there's only two options in life, and there's success or failure. And in reality, most of us spend our time somewhere in the middle of these two. And what I find is a lot of people have this all or nothing thinking, and they feel like they can't start a new exercise regime until everything is perfect, or all these things have to line up first before you can start, or I'm not going to eat well until this happens first, or they think that way. Or then people, they start maybe they start eating well, and then they get to a point where they say people are changing their diet and everything else, and then they might have a blowout, and people think, oh, well, I've not done this perfect, so I may as well not stick to it. So it's really this all or nothing, that they have all the time. And it really is the all or nothing thing is a thing that is letting you down. And, there's other things like, there's so many examples of this all or nothing thinking. And if it's you, I just wonder if you think, have you ever had these thoughts where you think, well, I won't start doing this until Monday. I won't start my new eating plan until Monday, and then Monday rolls around and there's something that's not perfect. And then you think, oh, it's not right, I'll just start again. And, the truth is you just need to start. You just need to start and start moving forward. And the impact of, it can have this all or nothing thinking can have a really, really big impact on people. And it's kind of like that subtle little voice in your brain, and it's telling you the messages that, that you're not good enough, you can't do it, you won't be able to, if you can't do it perfectly, then you may as well not start. And, and when we start to think this way and you believe this way, then you kind of gather evidence that then reinforces that way of thinking. And it makes you then think it's right. So when we have this all or nothing mentality, it can, decrease our confidence in your self-esteem. You are less willing to take any type of risks. You feel like you're a failure. You feel scared for asking for help. You lack, resilience and self-compassion. You feel like you're unable to think of any solutions or the middle ground. And, you're unwilling or unable to forgive yourself for not doing something perfect. And, it's really not a place that I think we want to be. We feel, having this all or nothing thinking can really be, it's really holding you back. So what are some signs that you may be, if you think, no, this is not me, or you're like, I'm not quite sure if I do have this all or nothing mentality, it is really important to start to recognize some of the signs that you may have if you are somebody that has this all or nothing. So you might use words such as always, never, should, or shouldn't. So, I should be doing it this way. It has to be, it has to be a certain way, or it shouldn't be like that. So we're giving ourselves these rules. You could you could be someone that has this all or nothing thinking if you have a hard time seeing the positives in a situation. And if you are somebody that often looks at the downside even when there's potential opportunities. You won't try something unless you're confident you can do it perfectly. So I know sometimes there's people, I've seen it in my children, well, I can't draw that perfectly, so I'm not going to draw it at all, that type of thing. If you have a hard time receiving feedback, positive or constructive, it could be a sign that you've got this all or nothing mentality. And small mistakes can make you feel like a total failure. So if you are somebody that you've recognized that you maybe have some of those traits, it could be really good to start learning some ways on how you can shift your thinking and to overcome this all or nothing mentality. And when we feel like we can overcome it, we can, you can really boost your self-esteem, and it can really help create that balance. And that's what we're really looking for, everybody, to have this balance in life. You see, I see in the gym, like some people come and they join and they're like, if I can't do every class, then I'm not going to do it at all. And, but what about just doing one or two, because you're doing better than not doing nothing. And, and then all people will go gung-ho from the start, and they might go really, really hard and do lots of different classes and not give themselves a rest or things, but they burn out quickly. And, so it's really thinking that if you are somebody that has had this all or nothing thinking, how has it helped you in the past? So the experiences that I've had with people that have this all or nothing thinking is they won't start anything new because it has to be perfect. And they have to have the perfect timing, and all these things have to line up first before they can start. And the thing that I want you to understand is life is not perfect, and there is never going to be a perfect time. And there will always be something that will crop up in the way. But if it is important to you, you can really make it work. And by doing something is always going to be better than nothing. But I really think it's important to start understanding that life is just not perfect. It is not perfect, and it wasn't intended to be perfect. And, if you look at, like I think about a baby walking for the first time. Now, they didn't just get up and start walking. They maybe did a bit of a shuffle first. They crawled. they did maybe a commando crawl, and then they started crawling on all fours, and then maybe they started to get up. And that takes months for a baby to learn. And then they get up and then they fall down. And when that happens, we don't say to our child, don't ever try again. Don't ever try to walk again. You can't do it and it's not perfect. We encourage them to get up and to try again and to keep trying, because we know that they're going to get it. And I urge you to start thinking the same way for yourself. Nothing is going to be perfect the first time. Anything you've ever done in the past, learning to drive a car, learning something new at your job, becoming a parent for the first time, anything that you're learning, an instrument, any of those things, we didn't have it perfect when we first started. We had to try, you had to try many times and obviously have many failures. And, but the thing that I always try to explain to people is the best lessons come from those failures. And it's really, it is really just getting out there and starting. And, we go back to thinking about like a little baby getting up and crawling. We watch them get up and fall down, and you encourage them so much. And, you know that they're going to get it. And I remember watching my son trying to roll over, and we watched him for weeks and weeks, as he tried and he'd get so close to rolling over, and then he wouldn't, and then he'd go back, and then he would go again, and eventually that little determined part of the baby, they got it, and that's what I'm saying. Use that for yourself and find that little fire within you and just start. And because if you don't start, where is it going to lead you? It is going to keep you safe. It is going to keep you in exactly the same position you are in now. But if we look in a year's time, you're going to be in the same spot you're in. But if you just tried, if you just took one little step forward, if you just started doing something, you would already be, for just starting, you're already a step forward. And who knows the possibilities, or the possibilities are endless of what you can achieve if you just start something. And, this when we have this all or nothing thinking, it is really the thing that's holding you back. And we feel like people feel unhappy with their shape or their size. So they might have put on an extra 10 kilos, let's say, and they're unhappy with having that extra weight on them. But then they say, oh, well, it's not the perfect time to start a new program because my work is really busy at the moment. And then you say that, but there will always be something that is going to crop up. There is always something that will be that will make life busy. There's always something. There will always be something. But it is, the true magic happens is when you can learn to do something new and get hold of it and manage it on top of life, especially when life is busy. And when we have this type of thinking, it is really the thing that holds you back. You're going to get to this point where you look back and you're like, I remember, you'd say you wish you started sooner. I remember I was terrified. I wanted to travel. I always said that traveling was something I wanted to do, but I was terrified because I never had left Australia before. I was going on my own, going to, a country I didn't know, leaving everything that was familiar. And, I think I was 22 maybe, when I first went overseas. And when I was so terrified to leave. I cried because I was, leaving all my friends and the life that I'd had. And I went, and I remember flying on the plane. And when I arrived in Glasgow, I remember being on the plane and I remember thinking, I don't want to leave the cocoon of this plane. I just want to stay here, because the plane was a thing that then felt safe. But stepping out into a country I didn't know, I was lucky. I had family there to meet me. But stepping out into this country I didn't know, with people I didn't know that well, remember just being, I'll just stay here in the plane, because it was safer, and it was safer to not take that little step forward and to do something that was unfamiliar or a little bit scary. But obviously I did, because I wasn't allowed to stay on the plane. That I did, and obviously traveling was the best thing I ever did for myself. And I remember once I started to really enjoy traveling, or get my head around traveling, I remember thinking, why didn't I do this sooner? Why did I not start going traveling when I first thought about it at 18? Why did I not go? It took me 4 or so years of putting it off, where I could have had 4 other years of the experiences, that you get from traveling. But my fear of trying something new, or, all of that, and possibly, I felt maybe things needed to be in a certain way before I started. Possibly I had a bit of that all or nothing thinking there. But, once I did it, I was so glad I did it. I just wish I did it sooner. And I know that the same works for everybody with exercise, or looking at eating, looking at eating different foods, because really it's really all about finding out that it's all about finding this balance. And when you have this balance, you then of doing the things that you're meant to do, or that you really want to do. And when you have this balance, then we don't have this guilt, or we don't feel crappy about ourselves, or, you do feel really good, and your energy levels are higher and everything else. So if you are somebody that does tend to have this all or nothing type of thinking, there are some ways that you can overcome it. And it's challenging when you first start to do something new or different. And, like I said, but the thing is that if you think about when you first learned to drive a car, you didn't pick everything up straight away. When you first maybe learned something in your job, I remember when I first started training as a PT, I remember thinking, how am I going to know all the exercises? How am I going to remember every exercise? But now it's so automatic, and the technique is automatic, and all of those things where it was something that I didn't know. I didn't know if I would, I didn't think I could remember it all. So, it can be challenging, but the thing is that you just need to start and just start putting in some things into place to rewire the brain's thinking. And remember, if you see quite a few podcasts back, I did talk about rewiring your brain and how it is also possible for you to do. And we can get rid of these all or nothing thinking. And what I want to remind you of is that all or nothing, this doesn't have to be your story. You don't have to be the person I can't do it unless it's perfect. I can't start anything because I have to be a perfectionist. You don't have to be. It's a habit, and it is a choice, and that is something that you can change. And like any other habit, it can be changed, and you can break it, and anything is possible. You just have to start and actually really, really want to change. So my first thing is, my first tip in how to really overcome this all or nothing thinking is to try relabeling your thoughts. So the first thing, if you is recognition. So recognize that you may have some thoughts that are this, aligned with this all or nothing, and they might be the things that are holding you back. And and it's also interesting to really think about, have you given a meaning to these, like the situation? So, and we could use terms such as good or bad. I've eaten bad food. So, and what does that mean? And what meaning are you putting behind you because you've eaten this, I'm saying in commas, bad food? And then we, you then start to beat yourself and all of this. So it's starting to look at if do you have this pattern of your thought processes. So it could be something like good or bad. So I'll only, if I eat, I've been good today, I've been bad today. And, why do we have to label food as good or bad? Why can't food just be food? And it is that. It is just food. It is food. It's, stop giving it a meaning. Well, if I eat this food, that means that I'm fat. And that means that I've got no self-control. And that means that I'm a loser because I can't stick to a diet plan. So you're giving, that's not what that food is. That food is just, it's just a chocolate bar. It's just a chocolate bar. It is, got, butter and cacao and, biscuit in it. It is just a chocolate bar. You are the one that is giving it a meaning, and you are making it mean something about yourself. And that is something that you can, if you become aware of it, you can stop and try to re-change those thoughts. And, another pattern could be talking about, responsible or irresponsible. And, the responsible thing to do would be this, but I'm irresponsible. So it's really thinking about how are you talking to yourself and what are we saying, and then to really think about relabeling those thoughts. So once you've started to pinpoint a kind of pattern that you have, then you can kind of label it. So black and white, like thinkers, so these all or nothing type of thinkers, they tend to label the behavior or circumstances. So they'll label the circumstance. So what we want to look to doing is just label the whole thought process. So if you are thinking, well, I've eaten bad food, then you could remind yourself, if you've eaten, let's say we're saying I've eaten bad food, and you recognize that you've said that, then you can label it as I am, that's me, that's the all or nothing mentality coming out in me. So when you start to kind of label it and label the process, it's going to pull you out of this automatic thought loop and then into the reasoning part of your brain. So then once you've done that, you can stop using it as an excuse to kind of beat yourself up more, or you can just recognize that that's what you're doing. So when you speak in that way, or when you're speaking negatively, and you might catch yourself saying, oh, I would love to do that, but I can't do that until the kids go back. I can't start exercising until the kids go back to school, or you can stop and recognize that and label it as that's their all or nothing thinking again. And then you could look at just start, once you start recognizing that's what you're doing, and then rethink about those thoughts and how you speak about them. And we're going to go back on to more of that in a second. So my second tip for getting rid of this all or nothing mentality is to really get some perspective. So when you've identified kind of how you're thinking or what you're thinking about, and how that if you're thinking about something that's in an unhelpful way, now you want to kind of take it to trial. And this is where I really love journaling, and I find that writing things out, it makes such a massive difference, and it really helped me. So you can write things down. You can, write down what actually happened, what does it mean about you, and where is your proof. So, you want to think about let's say we talk about if you overeat in food, you overindulge, and then you start to feel bad about yourself, and then you start beating yourself up about it, and if we really think about why are you doing this? Because, let's say you have a party and you have birthday cake, and you also have takeaway pizza at the party, and you have lollies and chips, and then we get home and we think, oh my God, I have eaten so badly. Again, I'm saying badly in commas, inverted commas, you can't see me, but I am. You think I've eaten so badly, and then we start beating ourselves up, and we feel we start telling ourselves things, and you start telling yourself that maybe that that I knew you could never stick to your diet plan, and then you start giving it more of a meaning. You then might say that, I knew you could never stick to it. You're hopeless. You're a loser. You can't do anything right. You can't even stick to a simple diet plan. You have to overeat, and we start beating ourselves up that way. And what you're eating that birthday cake and the pizza and the whatever else, that didn't give you meaning. You did that to yourself. And I want you to really think about the times, and is that birthday cake meant that let's say it was your niece or nephew's birthday. That birthday cake was all about being there, spending quality time with your family, you and maybe your kids all having cake together with their cousins. That having that cake or that event was actually a really important social thing in your week, and that quality time with all your family meant that you had time to laugh. You could see the kids light up as you gave them presents. You had a really great, enjoyable time. And as much as you may have overindulged on that night, the other benefits of that night so outweighed the overindulging. And so that's why it's put it in perspective. There's like one event or one night. And I would suggest for people to look at things from a bigger point of view. If we look at it from the bigger point of view, I ate this food, but it's one meal out of, if we say eat 3 meals a day, that's 21 meals in a week. That's one night. 1 out of 21 is nothing, but give it some perspective, and you are the one that is giving it a meaning, and you're making that food, you're making it mean something about you where it doesn't. It is just food. And I always remind people of this. Like, I have a great balance with my food. I don't really label food as good or bad. It is just food. And by doing different things, such as my macro balance program, is really what helps you get the balance, because you can truly, truly understand food. But going out, and my son, like we went away one weekend, and we both rode our scooters down, and we got ice creams, and we had two scoops of ice cream, and that was his favorite part of the whole weekend. And I think if I missed doing, which I wouldn't, but I know there are so many mums that do, if I missed going that event on the weekend, if I missed going for ice cream and sitting and having that quality time with my son because I wanted everything to be perfect, or I felt it had to be a certain way, I would have missed out on his most favorite thing of the weekend. And for me, that is so much more important than having everything perfect. And this is what I want you to give it perspective. And you want to, when you really when you really look at things and you write it down, and when you think about the things of like what actually happened and what does it mean, and like where is there proof, there's no proof that eating chocolate cake makes me a horrible person or makes me a loser or any of those things. I've given myself those labels. Eating chocolate cake is just eating chocolate cake, and let it go. Really, really let it go. And when you think about it in those ways, it really changes your thinking. And it's it is important that the other thing is, like another example is if it's good to run it by somebody. And like if you feel like, oh, I'm thinking this way, or catching myself saying that, run it by somebody, because it is really, really good to get it out and talk about it. And when you run it by somebody, you'll see, even sometimes when you're telling them how you feel or whatever, when you're telling them those things, you'll see that it's not as big, or as you're making it. And like another example could be that you might feel really bad because you forgot a friend's birthday, and you're thinking, well, I've forgotten her birthday, that obviously makes me a terrible friend. And it doesn't make you a terrible friend, it just means that you forgot. It means you had a lot going on, and and you just forgot. But you could look at it, when we're giving it perspective, that it, even more importantly, it tells you something about your values, that you are actually a really good friend, because if you weren't a good friend, it wouldn't matter to you. It wouldn't matter that you forgot to wish them happy birthday. So give it a perspective, and it's really good to start to kind of brainstorm out some solutions or reasons or explanations, that of maybe there's common things that you feel, that you might catch yourself saying with this all or nothing, or these common things that you might feel guilty about or whatever. And when you start to brainstorm out the solutions, or you write it out, you'll see that there, instead of this black and white, like it has to be this way, there is quite a large bit of grey of grey matter that that you can be in, and there's so many different solutions. My third tip is to really reframe your thoughts. So, when you have once you kind of have a wider range of thoughts to choose from, you can rephrase your original thought. So you can remind yourself of all the possible explanations that exist between absolute failure and absolute success. And when we go to like extremes, like people, like, and a task that we do in the programs that I run, like Macro Balance and Little Black Dress Project, is we really look at things, and people say, like, they want to get to a result, and they have a goal, and they'll say, and I get them to think of the worst case scenario, and you'll realize that you're not as far behind as you think you are. So an example could be that you want to fit on, wear a pair of jeans. Now, you want to fit into a certain pair of jeans, and let's say you can put them on. So the current, you can put them on, and you can get them up to your thigh, and and people think, oh, that's the worst. I'm in the worst position. Well, the worst position would be that if you couldn't even get the jeans on at all. You can at least get them, and you can pull them up to your thigh, or you can pull them up to your waist, but you can't do them up. That's not the worst situation. So you're already further along than what you thought you were. You're already thinking that you're in the worst position, but the worst position would be that you couldn't even put on any clothes at all. That you couldn't even fit any clothes on. So you are further forward towards your goal than what you think you are. So really think about reframing your thoughts, and look at the possible explanations that really do exist between failure and success. And it is really, when we have things that happen to us, and we might spiral into a bit of a this, if only I did this way, if only it was perfect, I should have done it this way. When we start having those types of thinking, I want you to just stop and think, what are 5 other ways that I could look at this situation? Maybe it wasn't perfect, or maybe it was. Maybe we just want to give yourself the chance to look at other ways to look at it. And when you start to look at other ways of a situation, then you realize that there is so many more possibilities. And again, speaking to somebody about this, because we all kind of look at things differently, is really good. I know, like, some people will say to me, oh, but I did this wrong, or I didn't do this. And I'll be like, but you didn't do it wrong. And then we'll talk about it. And then, that their black and white thinking had made them think that was wrong. But like I said, no, that's actually a step forward. Everything we think we've done in the past, we think we've done stuff in the past, but we can't move that, oh, we've failed again, and but everything that you've done in the past has got you to where you are today, and every little thing has got you a step closer to your actual goal. And having this, the thing that's stopping you is this all or nothing mentality. And it's really interesting, and it is something that I really try to explain to people, is that we want to look at all the data points. And if you were just looking at one data point, if we have a goal, and let's say weight loss was a goal, you're only looking at one data point. There's so many other data points around that are actually making a difference. People think, oh, well, the scale's gone up, or the scale hasn't changed. But have you done measurements? Have you looked at photos? Have you looked at how much what exercise you're doing? Can you cope with more? There's so many other factors that we need to be looking at. And, we want to start to reframe our thinking and to look at things from a wider perspective, because when you've kind of got this tunnel vision, it's not going to help you. And lots of the times we are telling ourselves a story. We are kind of telling ourselves a story, and some stories definitely have more truth than others. And we want to make sure that we're really thinking about what is the stories that we are telling ourselves, and how is this, so many people tell me time is the biggest thing. They say, I don't have enough time. So if I had more time, then I would be able to do this. And this is part of that all or nothing thinking. We all have the same amount of time in the day. You choose in how you spend your time. So you make a choice in how you want to spend your time, and if you look at your screen time on your phone, how much time have you spent on social media? So if you can spend 4 or so hours on social media a day, you have the time to fit and exercise. You have the time to prep food. You're just choosing not to. So really give it some perspective, and look at reframing your thinking and what's the kind of stories that you're telling yourself. And it is not something that we can just stop to do, but you can first start to recognize it. So recognize, number one, that you are someone that has, you tend to have an all or nothing mentality. So recognize that. Recognize that having the all or nothing mentality isn't really helping you. It is not really getting you anywhere. And if you want to change, if you want to do something different, we have to do something. If you want to get a change, you have to do something different. If you are continually doing the same thing you've done over and over again, it is not going to, what's the quote of insanity? Doing the same thing over again, expecting a different result. So, so maybe looking at letting go of this all or nothing mentality, and just starting and just putting one foot in front of the other. Because, I've got people that have got such amazing results, and all they did was they just were consistent, and they just started putting one foot in front of the other each day. And when we get trapped in this kind of all or nothing thinking, we're essentially just saying to ourselves that perfection is the only good outcome. And it's really good to understand that progress is the outcome. Progress is the best outcome. Taking one step forward, taking one movement forward, making something a little bit different. That is the best outcome, and that is a thing that's going to get you to where you want to be. If we only accept perfection, you actually, that is a thing that is, so that the idea of perfection is the thing that is dooming, that is setting you up for failure. And we have these negative self-perceptions, because no matter how well we do things, we're just never measuring up. When we have these types of thought processes, you're always on the back foot, because it's never going to be good enough. But that is something that you can change. And the real trick to dismantling this all or nothing thinking is to reward yourselves for progress, not perfection. And we don't have to get it right all the time. We are not going to get it right all the time. We just have to continue to grow. And you have to understand that that the so-called failures or the things that aren't perfect are where the best lessons happen. And they are the things that is going to really get you where you want to be. So, I always use the example of a football team. They win a game, they go out and they celebrate. They lose a game, they sit and they might look at plays and they might rethink about their thinking. That is where the real learning is happening. So we want to get rid of this all or nothing thinking and actually applaud it when something goes wrong. Applaud it. Be excited that something is not perfect, because when it is not perfect, that is how you can start to move forward. That is how you can actually get a result, because we learn from it. And that is what I really try to show to everybody and get people to understand, because when they're doing any of my programs, because that progress is, and consistency is the thing that's going to really get you the result that you want. And learning that we don't have to be perfect, because life's not perfect. And there is always going to be a stumbling block. There is always going to be something that isn't perfect that we need to overcome. And that's where the magic happens. And that is where we can look to find that true balance, because we don't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be right. And I really hope that people can start to take more on of this, and it is all very possible, of this more balanced lifestyle and feeling balanced, because you will feel so much better for it. So I'm going to leave you with those thoughts today, and I want you to if you are somebody that does have the all or nothing mentality, can you look at reframing your thoughts? Can you look at just recognizing that you do it? And if you can, I would love for you to message me and let me know, because it is so good to hear from people and to hear that they've learned something, or they can actually start to make changes in your life. And remind yourself, if you catch yourself doing it, it's this all or nothing thinking that is holding you back. That is the thing that is holding you back. Not that it's not perfect. The fact that you feel that it has to be perfect is the thing that is holding you back. And please make sure you share this with anybody that you think that may help them. And I really look forward to hearing from you and hearing if you have started to recognize that you might have that all or nothing mentality. All right, I will speak to you all soon. Okay, bye. The Summer Shape Up program begins on the 15th of August. This program is an 8-week guided weightlifting program where you are going to be guided by me, and you are going to be shown how to lift weights properly, how to really increase your strength and increase your 1 rep max. There is different tasks each week for you to do. You are going to be shown the best way that you can strength train and how you can benefit your whole body and create that nice lean tone look that we are all looking for, so you can feel confident in the summertime in your bathers out on the beach. So if you want to be the first to know when the Summer Shape Up program begins, make sure that you join the waiting list now. You can join by clicking the link below.